Hey, what's up? Dusk here. We're going to go over the patch notes for November 28th, the 250 fixes touted by Gun, but that right out the gate is very dishonest. There are not close to 250 fixes here. A lot of the stuff is like, if you see here, Nancy's Trap Alerts. This is just changelog stuff from their development cycle. This content is not out yet. It's just part of their development cycle. So this is really dishonest and kind of disappointing. It was an attempt to fluff the patch to make it look better, but they've deflated the patch and made it look worse, which is weird because the patch is amazing. It didn't need to be fluffed. They could have said 150 plus fixes and balance tweaks, and everybody still would have been, oh my god, this is amazing, because it is amazing. So we're going to skip all the goofy, fake development cycle stuff as we go over this. All right, so we're here with various footstep audio. Now, if you're, real big sound hound, you'll notice that footstep sounds are very inconsistent, and so they've got some fixes for that. If you haven't really noticed, then you probably won't notice this fix. I've certainly noticed. The big one is when you're very far away, and you'll notice this with Leatherface the most. It'll sound like Leatherface is stomping around right next to you when he's on the other side of the map, and stuff like that. So, nice to see that fix. Translated character bios. This is a localization for language fix. Disappearing ladder in trophy room. I believe the trophy room. Okay, that's on Nancy's house. Never mind. Changelog. Coming for you. Achievement. So, achievement stuff is fixed. Not really a big deal there. Various execution animations. The following execution animation issues have been fixed. So just some animation fixes here, which is kind of nice. That's kind of minor, but you'll notice it, right? Various fixes for Johnny's animations. Footsteps will now fade away over time. As issues where Johnny's footprints would disappear abruptly when a special ability ends. I don't know what that has to do with animations, but because this either has to do with his ability or his audio. But whatever, some issues with Johnny have been fixed. To fix an issue where Johnny wasn't looking at the floor while using his ability, because that's more thematic. He's tracking, right? He should be looking down. So this is more of just a weird quality of life fix. It'll be good for victims so that they can look at Johnny and tell he's tracking. Blood reflection flickering on low graphics. That's good for low graphic users. Mud pile asset not appearing on Family House. I didn't know there were mud piles on Family House, so I'm curious to see what that's all about. Inconsistent range when listening to noises from items. So this one is a little confusing because it has to do like when the victims are fast rummaging through like a toolbox or a bone pile, and it's supposed to like show that off. And it said the range has been inconsistent, but they don't clarify if you're hearing or seeing that from too far away, or or not far away enough, or sometimes it didn't show up when it should have, right? So we'll have to see how that one shakes out. I know at the very start, like in the very first few weeks of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you made noise far away, you just couldn't see it. But after a few patches, I started noticing that I would see victims rummage through toolboxes pretty much across the map. So I'm starting to think, my guess is that we can see noise from too far away. But this could also just be the audio effect, like the actual like sound that you can hear in your headset, right? They might be talking about that. So I guess we'll find out. More various audio fixes. Some of these are changelog. Passing the noise threshold when collecting a bone scrap could be heard through the ground. So again, I don't know if they're talking about actual audio, like you can hear the sound, or if they're talking about being able to see the red outline. I'm starting to think, since it does say various audio issues, and we're talking about sound occlusion right here, that it is the actual what you're hearing in your headset sound, right? Audio for the gates on Slaughterhouse cannot be heard. So this is all actual audio here. So that's probably what they mean here, and possibly what they mean up here. Spectating lockpicking audio. Fix where some players could hear a loud boom. That's pretty crazy. Voice chat drops in lobby. I've run into that, so That's a recent bug, and I see that that's being fixed. Stun locked, family stun locked after close encounter and a sneak attack. So you're struggling with somebody as a family member, and then a victim backstabs you, and then you're just bugged out for the rest of the match, and you can't do anything. That's going to be fixed. That's a huge one. Nice to see that one fixed. Camera angles on crawl spaces. Apparently, the camera would kind of like mess up and be on the wrong part of your character after a crawl space. That's a pretty big deal. Character and XP gains fix an issue where players would see -1, XP event, so they're going to fix that. Let's see, text chat not working properly in lobby when you use the mouse. That's happened to me. Crawl text issues. I'm not 100% sure what crawler is. Usually like when text like scrolls across the bottom, like on a news channel or something. I was not aware of crawler text, but maybe they mean in the XP events that pop up on the opposite side of the screen over there. Which there were things like, a basement escape would be opened up and family would not see that had occurred, or a valve, pressure valve had been turned on and it wouldn't pop up and you wouldn't hear it, and it would just be a ghost event. If that's what they're talking about, that is much needed and appreciated. So hopefully that's what they're talking about. Valid user ID error. That one's something I think we've all probably gotten. Various crashes, like I don't care what the specifics are. Oh no, this is actually a big one. So this is one really bad one that like salty victim, and one changelog thing in here. Salty victim players who are trying to make big plays but then got like stomped on instead would feel stupid and get mad and salty, and so they would like Alt F4 or yank the cable out of their console or whatever to just to crash the game, and that would cause the server to then also crash. Unfortunately, since this is in the patch notes, I noticed while playing today that more people were doing it as people became aware. It's like, oh, that's how you crash the server when you get outplayed and feel like a dumbass. Okay. And so, yeah, it happened quite a bit today, unfortunately. Hot tip, gun. If you're going to fix an exploit like this, don't explain how to do the exploit before you fix it. Anyway. On to the next one. Executing victims appear alive in spectator mode. Yeah, that's probably a good fix there. Invalid credential errors after an hour of gameplay. That's a pretty big one. Foliage popping in and out on Family House. That's obviously, that's more of a quality of life visual thing. It's just jarring to see things pop in on a game this immersive. Victim unable to move after traversing ladder in Family House. That's pretty crushing. Good to see that fixed. Family House assets being climbable. You could get up on a bucket. There was a chair. Just some things that you could kind of like glitch on top of essentially. So that's a good fix. Players getting stuck on a door. So what was it? Fix an issue where players get stuck between the door and assets next to walls in the basement storage. So I think that is where you would kind of be behind the door, and you'd be here and it would open and kind of like pin you on some stuff, and you just couldn't move at that point. So that's probably a pretty good fix. A bottle clipping into a health potion. I'm guessing that would make it where you couldn't pick up the bottle, or maybe it was just a weird a jarring visual effect. I've never noticed that. Blood on family members. Fixed an issue where the lighting would make the blood look gold. I never saw that myself, but just a visual effect. Blacked out newspapers, just missing texture. Car battery on gas station where the car battery just looked wrong. Stuck spots on garage. So there were a few spots, like the mattress was a big one, if anybody's been stuck there, where you could just like stand next to something and all of a sudden you would get stuck or kind of clipped into it, and then you were stuck there for the rest of the game until somebody killed you or you DC'd. And so we got stuck spots on gas station. Let's see. There should also be stuck spots on, I know they mention it somewhere else, on Slaughterhouse as well. They fixed multiple stuck spots. Lighting issues on gas station, that's pretty basic. It's all just visual. Players floating on gas station. The floating floaty bits have been fixed. Players would appear to be floating on the branches in the exterior area near the road exit. Appeared to be floating while sprinting against the edge of the stair railing in Leatherface's lair. I think these were pretty minor, like they were just like a little bit off the ground. I don't think they were actually like up in the air. That was a whole different exploit, but that stuff has all been fixed already. So this was just a super minor thing. Surface collision missing on gas station. The main road where the player would kind of sink down into the ground a little bit. Illogical hiding spot on gas station where victims would be hidden in a spot in the exterior next to the workshop despite it being exposed and well lit. Now, when they say hiding spot, they're not talking about the hiding spots like a freezer or something like that, right? They're talking about a shadow, or like tall grass. When you get into tall grass, you're hidden, you're in the shadows. And so, like, if you have the perk Sanguine Shadows, it would proc and start healing you if you were low, right? I think that's what they're talking about. Because also, your character, when you're in the shadows or a hiding spot, your character turns kind of a gray tone, and that helps them blend in a little bit. Night variant is logical and unchanged due to the shadows present in that spot. I really have no idea what they're talking about, but the language is confusing when they say hiding spot, because later they talk about a hiding spot, but they're referring to like the cabinet, but this is something a little different. Shadow fading on foliage and trees, it's just a visual flare. Light bleeding from Leatherface's chainsaw. Fixed an issue where Leatherface's chainsaw sparks from hitting a metal object. Those sparks could be seen under the wells. Okay, I guess it was falling through the ground. Gotcha. So that would give away Leatherface's location, I suppose, or just look weird. Lighting issues on Slaughterhouse, just visual appeal. Incorrect Nancy's house, whatever. Changelog. Bone and skull clippings on Slaughterhouse. I never noticed this. Probably just visual appear. Clip into the wall a little bit. Yeah. Something I don't think anybody really noticed, but you know, it's still good to fix it. Little fixes like that are still appreciated. Stuck spot on Slaughterhouse, just like we talked about earlier. Invisible collision in bushes on Slaughterhouse. We fixed an issue where there's an invisible collision on the bushes outside the garage area. I'm actually not 100% sure what that is. Maybe I think I know, but it's a pretty minor issue. Basically, you would like run into something that isn't there, right? Various textures, just more, see, like rusty metal sheet in the south tunnel and Slaughterhouse appeared as transparent on one side. These are, oh yeah, and things for like low settings at the beginning of the match, loaded slow, so these are, you know, again, just nice quality of life fixes, nothing major. An execute face grinder not being selectable in the menu. A stamina boost, here's an interesting one. Stamina boost regeneration when another victim disconnects near another victim, the other victim gets a stamina boost. That's a weird one, right? They had it where some of their INI files could be edited to remove foliage. That's insane. That is insane that was something that you could do. Family members obviously would have been guilty of using this to easily find victims hiding in tall grass. That's pretty gross for family members that had... What's great about stuff like this, though, is that it's a huge crutch. And players that lean on crutches this heavy don't learn how to play right. So once you fix it, they're completely useless. They have no idea how to play the game outside their giant crutch. So this is going to be funny to watch players like this flail around and then start to cry that family's way underpowered. So I look forward to some of the crying. Let's see. Victim could bypass a fence to collect a bone scrap. Now, that makes it sound like he could go through the fence. You couldn't. You could essentially just reach through the fence to grab a bone. Pretty minor fix, but probably something that needed to be done. A disconnect exploit, basically. So they talk about here where you could disconnect, and then when you like would reconnect, I think it was a disconnect from the internet while moving to not receive damage, break chase, and scare the victim out of hiding spots. Yeah. So they talk about this a little bit later. They say disconnect and then reconnect. As far as I know, you cannot reconnect to a match of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you can lag spike yourself. And lag spiking would create all these sort of like weird things. But most of the time, if you're really kind of aware of what's going on in his family, and you're quick, you could still get some damage in, and you can kind of predict where they're going. And sometimes they'd rubber band back. A lot of times, this did not work as well as people wanted it to work. But still, obviously annoying and stupid, and I'm glad it's fixed. Door slamming dead victims for XP, that's hilarious. Victims gaining twice the XP while in spectator mode. Who cares? Let people get XP in spectator mode. I could care less. But whatever. If it's a bug, fix it, right? Audio bug with fuse door slam. Fixed an audio issue that made the fuse box door slam sound not trigger. I assume that means the actual human-sized big door in the basement, right? XP earned despite disconnect. We fixed an issue that would cause family members not to earn XP if the victim's disconnected. Now, 9 times out of 10, you do get your XP even if they disconnect now, but every once in a while, you wouldn't get it. But Vix will still DC to try and deny it, but usually you get the XP. But now it's airtight. Beautiful. Redirect to platform store. Fixed an issue causing the link to the store page to not function on some platforms, probably console. Party voice chat resolved an issue that would cause voice chat to not work. I've run into that. Spectator camera drags, or just spectator stuff, the camera not working right. Push to talk stuck. I've had that happen where you have to like hit the button to get it to stop doing push to talk. Various minor HUD things, issues. Let's see, typo corrections, network errors, placeholder text, just different things on your display, right? Your HUD. Various minor UI issues. There's a lot of stuff here for the UI. Let's see, unlockable videos were stuttering. Rebind keys caused the skill tree video not to show. Keyboard not showing up on certain platforms. Spectate mode would remove button functionality. Visual bugs in the ability tree. Freezing, performance, placeholder videos, placeholder text. Loss of function, party leader disconnecting. Player levels showing at 0, delay map icons and character icons on the map, text typos, missing executions in the menu, native platform, invites missing, hitchhiker bloody skin missing from the cosmetic menu, invite delay if you do it a little bit too quick. Yeah. Just trying to get through that really quick. Strength attribute description. The strength attribute description now includes barging doors as affected by strength. This is their attempt to make strength more worth taking, because right now it's just not. This is something that they're going to have to work on with TCM. Right now, proficiency is king, because they designed the entire game to work around proficiency. When you're rooting through a toolbox, you're going to be better if your proficiency is high. When you're picking a lock, you do better if your proficiency is high. When you're disconnecting the battery, you do better if your proficiency is high. If you're trying to open the fuse box, you do it faster if your proficiency is high. And picking locks and doing those escapes is like the vast majority of the game. So proficiency is like this massive stat, and that's why there's just pump proficiency to 50 meta right now, because it's just so much better. Like a lot of the other stats just aren't that useful. I think endurance is probably the next most useful stat for like running away. And that's really useful. You use it all the time. So like proficiency and endurance. And if you look at those, that gives you an automatic tier list for which victims are the best. And then that's augmented by whatever their power is, right? So yeah, this is an ongoing thing, but I'm glad to see at least one buff to strength, and I hope we continue to see stuff just like that. Missing localizations, which is language. The Hitchhiker 3-trap instant kill. I didn't know about this, but again, if you have a crazy exploit gun, don't put it in your patch notes before the patch comes out. I didn't see it myself because I've been playing family mostly as of recent, but I guarantee today there were a bunch of hitchhikers stacking 3 traps to instant kill victims. That's crazy that you could do that, but there you go. Spectator camera issues, sure. Chat scoreboard soft lock, where you would get into the scoreboard or chat and then you couldn't get out, so you're soft locked. Slaughterhouse out of bounds, you could actually climb over a fence somewhere and get into an unplayable area. That's crazy. I never saw that one, thankfully. And I'm sure people are going to be looking for it, though. Saboteur perk in the fuse box. The Saboteur perk was just not working on the fuse box. That's pretty crazy. Let's see, right shift rebind. You can now properly rebind the right shift key. That's nice. Let's see, chat rebinds, just rebind stuff. New character unlock, change log. Party invite unavailable, so that, just a random bug fix. Visual bug with character levels that would, not show stuff. Visual bug with earned skill points, all pretty self-explanatory. Temporary white box for a player icon, interesting. No Cell and Leatherface revved up attack. We fix an issue causing No Cell to not properly trigger with a revved up chainsaw attack. This is probably one of the biggest impacts for perk bug fixes. There are plenty of other perks in here that have not been fixed, but they're perks that nobody's really playing with or you're fine without. But No Cell is a major perk that a lot of people are using, and to have it like randomly not work is kind of a big deal, right? So, like, I hope this fix actually like really takes, because that's a big one. Fixed extra drip perk, where there's an exploit here where you can make it so that the extra drip effect never stops. You just have permanent massive regeneration for the whole rest of the match. Actually ran into a Connie who did this, and we were trying to figure out why we couldn't kill her. We're like, Connie doesn't have No Cell. How is she surviving all this? Hit her with a knockdown, a follow-up, like a chainsaw knockdown, a follow-up hit, chased her for a bit. She welled, didn't end cap in the well. We got down to the basement, chased her, somebody else hit her. I think I landed some more hits with my chainsaw, just some basic M1 hits, and we're like, what's going on, dude? And, and then, of course, in the after-game chat, boy, they were sure bragging about how awesome they were. We're like, yeah. So that's undoubtedly what that was all about. Let's see, choose flight stutters. Apparently there was some kind of stutter or laggy appearance. I was unaware of that, but stuttering animations while you're running is kind of a big deal to fix, especially because that can give you an unfair advantage when you're trying to juke like a Leatherface chainsaw attack. FPS drops when returning to the main menu. Didn't know about that one, but that's a pretty big deal. Flickering leaves. Flickering anything. Good fix. Failed to join party reinvite. Next match dropping party. Have had that where you finish up a match and you're like, all right, next match, and then you lose some or all of your party members. Connection issues. Disabling matchmaking. That one's a crazy one. I don't know exactly how that impacted the game, but yeah, either you can't find a match or you start matching with like low-level players when you're high level, one of the two. Next match, join the lobby solo, even when you're in a party. We've had that happen. Custom lobby failed to launch. Change log. Concept art is now unlockable for Leatherface. Nicotero Leatherface volume for crawl space destruction lowered because it was too loud. Window key rebind fixed. Alt key fixed. Character blacked out in some platform builds. Interesting there. Never saw that. Grandpa perk unequip fixed an issue where sometimes your grandpa perk would unequip between matches. Missing foliage, that's a good fix. Haptic feedback for controllers. No Cell disabled after being trapped in a hitchhiker trap. That's pretty crazy. A bunch of XP events. Some of those are changelog. Let's see. Well interaction locked. Fixed an issue that would lock interactions if the victim tried to use a well after stepping in a hitchhiker trap. I didn't know this was still happening. That's kind of weird. That's an old one, I guess in some rare situations. Well, connection disruption, and let's see, an issue that would cause a character to get stuck if connection is unstable, so you're getting a lot of lag spikes, you're a little bit laggy and you get stuck in the well. Missing voice lines, so when you're doing mini games, I'm guessing that's like the fuse box. Let's see, victim stamina bonus. Fix an issue that was awarding stamina bonuses to victims incorrectly. That's crazy. Blood trails. We've matched up the victim blood trail across all platforms. I keep hearing people say, oh, they're going to make it like it is on console for everybody. I don't believe that, because console looks really goofy. If you hit a victim, they immediately turn into a water hose and draw a solid red line wherever they go. Like, this is basically Dead by Daylight scratch marks, right? On PC, when you hit somebody, they leave these realistic blood droplets, and you have to track by following blood droplets. Like, it looks like someone bleeding out. Like, if you were a hunter in the woods, that's, the kind of blood trail you would be tracking, right? So it doesn't make any sense to do the weird, goofy water hose red line on the ground thing that the consoles have. The only reason they would do that is if they can't figure out how to fix it and they want to level the playing field because console players have an unfair advantage. But I would just be shocked if it made it that way. It's gonna make it like it is on PC. Grandpa UI perk, perks UI, an issue fixed caused the perks icon to not be highlighted. That happens all the time. So like Grandpa would get stabbed and a perk would turn off and you'd level him back up and it would make it look like the perk didn't turn off or that it stayed on even though Grandpa got stabbed. Good news is that was all just visual. The perks actually did turn on and off as they were supposed to, but it was very confusing in the UI. Getting stuck in cars. There was a rare instance for that got fixed. Trap bypass, right? So if you saw a trap in front of a gap, you could sometimes vacuum over or past the trap, hitchhiker trap, without hitting it. That's fixed. Hunt not canceling properly. This has to do with Johnny's tracking ability. Sunny's ability and minigames. Fix an issue that would silence the minigame audio if Sunny's ability is active. This is probably the only thing that made Sunny any good, and it was a bug. I mean, if there's a bug, you got to fix it, but I want to know when we're going to see some Sunny buffs, man. He's clearly they gave him the worst ability. Like, some people are like, well, Sunny's good in pre-mades because he can help. Like, not really. Like, it's pretty easy to tell when you're close to a family member a lot. Like, there's a family member, I've got 1 to 2 family members with me out here at the battery. Go do pressure tank, right? Like, I didn't need Sunny's ability to know I had, multiple family members somewhere or even a family member somewhere. So Sunny's ability just sucks. If it marked out people for your teammates so they could see, like, with pinpoint accuracy where people were, that would be helpful. But as is, he's got they were like, let's stick Sunny with the garbage ability. It's very disappointing. I hope they buff him. His base stats are also kind of wonk. Skill tree reset, just a bug that would cause your tree to unset or reset when you didn't want it to. Leatherface connection disruption. I saw this today. Had a Leatherface destroy something and then they basically disconnected. It was unfortunate. Tourniquet is a perk, so it looks like they've got that fixed. Victim noise marker and hiding spots. They call this a fix, but this is not a fix. This is a change. Fixed an issue where the noise indicator would not stick to victims after bursting out of a hiding spot. So now they're talking about hiding spot as in like a cabinet or a freezer, right? This is related to the change that pings stick to victims when... See, yeah, it's a change, not a fix. Just whatever. It's fine. This is amazing. Just wording is weird. Fix must have been the wind. Here's another perk. So we fixed the perk must have been the wind to function. This again is not a fix, it's a change. We changed the perk must have been the wind to function with the new changes to the noise generation. Same thing with the Twinkle Toes perk with the new noise generation system. Fixed quick exit. That's on Danny. So change log. Let's see, fixed spotter. Let's see, we fixed an issue with the spotter perk that would increase range unintentionally. I don't even know what that is. Second wind, that was fixed. Efficient backstabber. Now this one's interesting. Will now work when stabbing Grandpa. I actually really love this because I felt like Agitator was really a little over nerfed. And it was really hard to use in solo, but at the same time, if you had like a coordinated team, they could still make pretty good use of Agitator, right? And I also came to realize that Agitator was not meant to counter blood builds. It was just meant to buy you a little bit more time than a normal stab was. And so in that essence, Agitator does make a little bit more sense, but this is still really risky to go stab Grandpa if family members watching it, right? We've got a lot of Grandpa kills lately, or killed victims going to stab Grandpa, right? So I like this because it's kind of a way to give, like, a Grandpa stabbing build, kind of give that some support for people who really do like to do that sort of thing. So I really like this change. I thought that was neat. That's good. Fun, right? Having more builds is fun. Fusebox cursor issue. Fix an issue that would lock up a cursor on the screen. I get this 100% of the time. Some blood spatter visual bugs there with Nicotero. Leatherface door destruction. If Leatherface starts the animation of destroying a door with the saw, it can no longer be opened during the animation. This sometimes family members would open the door, and you would see, I think, Leatherface destroying the door, and then the door also opening. I never saw it myself, but that's just what the description says. Leatherface missing idle animation, cool. Ladders and hands, the animation would just desync. So, yeah. Victim restraints fixed an issue where if a victim was hit before getting out of the restraints, they would fall and then pop back up to the restraints. That's pretty crazy to think that some victims were getting hit while still in restraints, but that's because Gun nerfed it so that if you tried to be quiet getting out of the restraints, it takes you way longer, and sometimes Leatherface can get there. And that was their attempt to nerf Rush, which is weird because what they did is they forced you to rush or risk, getting a Leatherface in your room while you're still struggling to get off the restraints. So, yeah, just weird, but whatever. It was a bug and they fixed it, and that's good. Trapped victim gate bypass. If there was a trap right next to a gate, the victim could get in it and then get incapacitated, and then when they stood back up, they'd be on the other side of the gate. Very rare, but that was something that could happen. A fix with the trap collection, an issue where you couldn't collect the trap, so that's fixed. Incapacitation. Okay, this is a really weird one. I'm going to read it because it's funny. Fixed an issue, a really weird bug, where if a victim is using a hiding spot and exits due to incapacitation, then a second victim does the exact same thing in the hiding spot. The first victim who did that instantly dies. To the one person who might have experienced this, you're welcome. So I guess their testers found a bug, but this probably didn't happen to anybody. If it did, it was one person. So I just thought this little bit at the end was funny. It cracked me up a little bit. Sissy stun locked, where Sissy would become permanently stunned if hit by a victim exiting a hiding spot. Grandpa detection, an issue where Grandpa would detect victims who are moving inaccurately at higher levels. That's a little vague. This issue was detecting victims for a smaller amount of time at higher grandpa levels. Now that makes more sense, and that's kind of exciting. So at level 3 and 4 and 5, when grandpa roars, if a victim is highlighted, they're now highlighted for longer periods of time. And that, that's spicy. That especially at level 5, right? That's gonna be intense. I already do blood builds, and this is gonna baby, yeah. Victim traversal lock. Fix an issue where victims will get stuck in the traversal animation on a gap when entering a gap at the same time that they're snared by change log. Ghost victim in the northern cell. I've never seen that, but somebody on my stream today said they had seen that, where a victim would escape, but then a ghost of their character would appear in the northern cell. Really, really weird. Invincible victim in a crawl space. You could do a thing where you could become invincible, but they fixed that. That's crazy. I've never seen that one, thankfully. Safe window jumps. Fixed an issue where a victim would not take accurate damage if the connection was interrupted, so you could lag switch and jump through a window for no damage. Yeah. Torn apart execution audio, so just audio for an execute. Unlocked tool alignment, or unlocked tool alignment. So it's just an animation. The lock pick would not be in your hand or would float around. Healing while disconnected is a fix. Stuck in animations. If you were laggy. Locked onto the valve pump pickup. Let's see. The issue where a player would become locked if they're, just... it looks like a lot of stuff where if you were laggy and you were doing something, you would get, permanently stuck, essentially. Let's see. Fix an issue where victims who have disconnected cannot be carried by Leatherface. It's a good fix. Grapple disconnects. Victim attacked while disconnect. Camera control while connection issues. So just a whole bunch of connection issue stuff, which honestly should probably help with server stability. Valve progress, and here they talk about a rejoin, right? Shown to a player who disconnects and rejoins. You can't rejoin a game when you disconnect, so this is really weird that this is included. Unless this is a feature in the new patch, then that's amazing, but it's not mentioned anywhere in the patch notes. I think what they mean is you just lag out really bad, but not enough to drop out of the match or get kicked out. So you just lag out, and then once you get back into the game, some issues happen, essentially. A loading screen loop where you get infinite loading screen is fixed. Cook idle crash, where Cook being kicked for idle would crash the game for the Cook player. Pretty minor fix, because you're already getting kicked for your because you're idle. Cook gas station crash, where Cook would experience a game crash on a load screen in the gas station. Sucks for Cook, man. I've definitely seen that. Gallows spectate crash. There are some issues where the hitchhiker trap would heal victims sometimes. An issue with a camera on Johnny, restraint animations, scaling issues with like your resolution scaling, frame rate issues in the basement for some people, loud Leatherface feet, so it would make it sound like the Leatherface was much closer than they actually were. Stuck spots on Family House, those were mentioned earlier. Let's see, fixed so close. The so close achievement and or trophy was fixed. Turning off the valve fixed a bug that would allow family. This is more of an exploit. Allow family to turn off the pressure valve too quickly while using their ability. So this is one that a lot of us have done by accident, and I didn't know what was causing it, but now I know, and so if I wanted to repeat it, I can do that until the patch comes out, which I'm not going to, but obviously other people are. Character outlines when making noise. And we've changed, again, this goes along with them reworking how noise goes, which if you're not familiar, let me go over that really quick. Now, if you run through a bone charm or go through a toolbox really quick or do something that makes a noise indicator, that will now stick to your character, that noise indicator sound. But it's also... let's see, if you do something, let's see, players who make noise will now have a red outline attached to them. So it just won't be the noise indicator, it will also be a red outline, which is huge because sometimes a family member would run through a bone charm or slam a door and you didn't know if that was a victim or a family member. If you were on comms, you could just ask, but if you weren't, that could be very confusing. But now, bone charms, nuggets, bone piles, door slams, toolboxes will all be affected, but metal sliding doors coming out of the basement will not. And that's probably a good happy medium right there. So, and that's to incentivize stealth play. Yeah, so yeah, that's just what they're doing, and this is all good stuff. Mute all option, that's going to be handy. Auto crouch toggle, thank God. One thing I hated when I played Victim is I was trying to do something and prep up, and then my victim would crouch randomly. Auto crouch. That was so aggravating, especially if I wanted to try and I was waiting to do a bait or jump into a gap, and then my character would crouch, and then they would have to uncrouch, and you'd have this delay animation, which got me killed in a few instances where I couldn't get to the gap in time without taking some hits. So finally, having your character automatically do things is often very annoying. Change log, victim ability at the start of the match. This one's pretty controversial, but trust me, this is really good. Victim abilities will now start the match with the 60-second cooldown. This is part of what is going to make rushing super high risk. You can't just have Connie rush to a toolbox and then use her ability on the basement door, pop it, and then run straight to the fuse box. This lets you get on the fuse box in about 30 seconds. Leland just runs to Leatherface and just shoulder checks him just to buy, a handful of seconds just to make sure that the Connie doesn't get interrupted, right? And it's just that easy. I talked to somebody today and they were practicing it, and they said their record was them being off the map and escaped in 74 seconds. That was the best they had done, but obviously I've seen other people do really fast stuff, and I'm sure there probably was a sub 60 escape somewhere, but it's just ridiculous that you wait in queue for 5 to 10 minutes, and then you have a 60-second match, right? And everybody's either off the map or dead. That's not interesting. It's not exciting. And it was certainly way too easy, right? So Connie won't be able to insta-pop the locks in the first 60 seconds. Leland won't be able to just, right-click and buy time for free. You're actually going to have to, strategize and play. And Connie's going to have to do the toolbox and rush to the door, but won't have anybody to really protect her, and she'll actually have to pick the lock. So there's going to be way more risk involved, but you can still do it, and you can still get a sub 2-minute escape. Pretty easy doing it this way, but you're going to have to be willing to risk a lot more to get it done. And if you were, crutching on your Anna ability or your Leland ability to survive, man, don't ever play Julie, right? Because a Julie player has just, Julie players have been playing smart with this. Sunny players have had to play smart. Obviously, it's super possible to play without these. Take no sell if you need an early get out of jail free card. If you're playing a character that doesn't have no sell, you just have to play cautious, right? Or realize that you're playing risky and that you're probably going to get murdered or going to put yourself in a position where you can get murdered. So, this was much needed for the pacing of the game and balancing. I'm going to hash on this for just a little bit longer here. So, basically, the rush meta was high reward, low risk. And now they're just making it high risk, high reward. And that's, if you know anything about game design at all, uh, that's how it's supposed to be. All right, moving on. Hitchhiker trap and pressure valves. Remove the safe zone. You can trap the pressure tank valve now. Now that the pressure tank's been super nerfed, this isn't really necessary. But at the same time, this is also kind of consistent. Hitchhiker can trap other stuff. Why was the pressure valve so special? But Bomb Squad's such a big counter to Hitchhiker anyway, so yeah, I think this is fine and it's consistent, right? Consistency is a good thing to have. Gas station smoke room added a gate to the smoke room exit. Now they say added a gate to the smoke room exit. I don't know if they mean another locked door or if they mean like an electrified cattle guard, right? Like a gate with that. I think that's what they mean, right? That you're going to have to turn the generator off, right? Not just we added yet another locked door, which who knows, it could be. But my guess is that they're making it so you need to turn off the generator, which is perfectly fine, right? Perfectly fine. Because that's how every other map works, right? Consistency. We also closed the gap between the smoke room and the side room. That's where, if the victim barred the door, the only way to get in without barging or cutting it down would be to go through the side gap. But Hitchhiker could also bar the door and then put a trap on that gap, and then, victim would have to barge the door. But Hitchhiker could get out of the room via the gap. So now there's no way for a Hitchhiker to bar that on the inside. But victim can still bar it on the inside to buy themselves time to pick the lock. So this is actually kind of more of a nerf to family than it is to victim right there. But, so make note of that change because that's a pretty big one. Hiding invite codes. Thank you. That's good for streamers. This should help reduce unwanted sharing of the codes. Yep. Valve pressurizing after close. So this is a nerf to pressure valve. Now when the family closes, the pressure tank valve, the pressure will now slowly build back up. We don't know how fast. We're going to have to wait and see. But it will slowly, the needle will go back the other direction. But that, keep in mind, it's not instant. So this means that if victim is trying to brute force the pressure tank, they still can. You might need 2 family members to defend the pressure tank at times, especially if you have like 2 to 3 victims that are all using bone shivs and a Leland charge and all that other stuff to try and brute force it. So, keep that in mind. But it is something, right? And this is good. This is a good change. And it makes sense. It's more thematic. You would think the pressure would build back up. Like that's what the pressure tank does, right? When the valve's closed, the pressure is full. Variable lobby timer. This one's huge. Now when 5 out of 7 players ready up, the timer will drop to 30 seconds. Oh, I pointed this out time and time and time and time again in my stream. There were so many times where 5 out of 7 players would be readied up. So this is such a massive boost to the lobby system. This is huge. I love this so much. Let's see. Grandpa Awaken cutscene has been removed, but don't worry. My sponsor for cutscene is still here. Great if you want to have a nice sleep schedule and you want to sleep really well and have tons of energy and feel awesome. It's been replaced with a simple banner notification to inform players. Thank God. This is one of the most. The Grandpa Awakened cutscene is probably one of the most hated features and one of the weirdest game design choices. Like to interrupt gameplay, like mid chase gameplay to show a cutscene. Bizarre design choice, man. Just bizarre. Change the Leatherface requirement. You're no longer required to play Leatherface, but nothing else changes. So all those barricades are still going to spawn there. So if you're on Family House and there's no Leatherface, you want to make sure you've got a sissy or a hitchhiker in case you can't get to the fuse box upstairs. Or if you can't get to the fuse box, make sure you've got somebody like a Johnny who's big enough to body block the door in the basement. And body blocking does seem to have been embraced by the devs. It wasn't something that they intended, but they said it felt thematic, and I think they kind of liked it. Because they said if you do have a big guy standing in a doorway with a knife or a chainsaw, that should be something that you don't want to just run through the guy. It's like, excuse me, let me squeeze right by here, chainsaw man. Right? So to them, it was very thematic and kind of a happy accident. So body blocking the basement door is a strat, and you are good to go for that. But yeah, you're going to have to do that without the barricades being destroyed. But we did test it a little bit on stream. Obviously we still had to have a Leatherface, but I played Leatherface on Gas Station and Slaughterhouse, and I just opted to not destroy barricades. And the basement gas station was really tough because there are a lot of barricades down there. But in both scenarios, we 4-killed in both cases. And the barricades were not an issue whatsoever. I mean, they were, don't get me wrong. But we're going to be able to play around them. Not having Leatherface isn't going to be as big a deal as people think. So, now, are you going to be sad sometimes that you don't have a Leatherface? Yes. Is it going to hurt your viability in some games and give victims an advantage? Yes. But is it going to make the game more fun for people who don't want to play Leatherface and don't want to be forced to play a character? That's a big yes, right? And so that's the most important thing. This is about fun, right? It's not about game balance or anything like that. It's just about fun and giving players a choice to play the game how they want, even if it means they're going to be at a disadvantage. So this is a huge thumbs up, man. This is just a good change, right? They're not removing Leatherface. You're still going to see Leatherface constantly. But sometimes you won't, and that'll be up to the players. So I'm happy with that. Gas station fuse and spawn spots. They've just made it where the fuse doesn't spawn next to the fuse box anymore in gas station. Localization, that just has to do with languages. Cook's seekability. This is one of Cook's nerfs. Basically, they've reworked how his power drain works to be more consistent. So he's going to lose ability drain a lot faster now. So Cook won't be able just to sit up there and just kind of like listen forever and just kind of get a gist where people are. It's actually going to, the whole time is going to consume his ability pretty aggressive. Map waiting on the back end. They've made it where they can tune the odds of a map showing up. I think this is a nod to basically say when the patch comes up tomorrow, we're probably going to have like an 80% chance to get the new map. If not a 90% chance, so that we don't see like a bunch of rampant dodging to get to play the new map, right? I would be okay if the new map was set to like 100%, honestly, for like 24 hours. And then after that, clock it down to like 70% or 75%. And then, slowly so that it was like even, which would be 25, 25, 25, right? But yeah, I hope they tune it up to like at least like 90%, right? Because I want to play that new map, and so does everybody else. We don't have to dodge to see it. Various telemetry data events. This is really just for the devs. This has nothing to do with us. This is just, they just put it so that they can see stats, right? Yeah, so that's just random. This is like changelog stuff. Gallows kill XP, raise the XP for the gallows kills. Thank God. That's a pretty big time-consuming deal to do. We've adjusted the saw volume for the Nicotero chainsaw. It's been increased to be more in line with the default chainsaw. Spoiler alert, they're actually about the same volume, but the Nicotero saw is bassier, and the default saw is a much higher pitch. So even when they're the same volume, that higher pitch is going to hit your ear a lot harder and just sound louder. So now the Nicotero saw is actually louder. But given it's bassier and easier on the ears, this will probably make it feel like they're probably the same. And that's perfectly fine. I think players overall will be happier with this. Specifically Victim, and I don't think Family will care one way or the other. Cook tag duration. We've adjusted the Cook's Seek ability tag duration. This is a reduction, so that's another nerf to Cook. Johnny's sprint attack. Here's the big one. Further tune Johnny's lunge attack when attacking and sprinting to be more in line with other family members. Other family members, when they attack, they actually slow down. So now instead of keeping his pace up and his speed, Johnny's lunges will slow him down. This means that Johnny no longer has a strength. He's no longer strong at anything or good at anything. Uh, he does have a pretty nice run speed, but so does High Endurance Hitchhiker with Scout. Like he's about the same speed, except he can also go through gaps, has wireframe, and can set traps. Johnny has a pretty lackluster tracking ability, and then that's it. So I think they've essentially nerfed Johnny out of the game, and this has just become from a lot of outcry from victims who do not adjust their playstyles when there's a Johnny present. Johnny is super good at punishing reckless rushes and reckless play, and instead of adjusting to that and being like, oh, I need to play different and quit making misplays and mistakes when there's, a different environment that I need to adjust to, it was just a bunch of outcry on Reddit, and the devs were like, okay. So I'm really sad about this, because this basically removes Johnny from the game. They're going to have to rebuff Johnny in some way. This is kind of sickening, and I hate it. I'll just say that. Let's see, Cook seek counter. We've adjusted the seek ability to not detect victims who are crouching and moving slower. Cook was way overbearing, so that's fair. Change log. Grandpa wake up. We've adjusted the threshold for waking up Grandpa. It now requires slightly more noise. I didn't see this one coming. But they're going to make it a little bit harder to wake up Grandpa with just random noise. Which you would think sounds weird because they're trying to buff stealth and they're trying to nerf rushing. So this seems counterproductive, but it's actually not, because they painted themselves into a corner a little bit when they nerfed the struggling free from the rope. As we mentioned earlier, we saw earlier in the patch notes, there are instances where people are getting hit on the rope because they're trying to struggle out quietly. Now, what they should have done is they should have made it where you could struggle out of the ropes a lot faster and stay quiet, right? But they didn't do that, so instead they're doing this. So now you can be noisy struggling out of the rope, but still have a little bit more cushion to move around the map, accidentally hit a bone charm or something, or maybe you had to run from Leatherface and you hit a bone charm, and now that's not quite so punishing. So in the end, this is actually good for the go fast but now be quiet and stealthy kind of gameplay, which is what you should be doing with the way everything's set up. So unless you have a character that can get out of the rope really quick and quietly, you're going to want to just go ahead and pound that escape key and get out of the ropes as quick as you can, make the noise, but then slow it down after that and go into stealth mode, right? For sure. Let's see, Johnny's hunt counter. Let's see, we have adjusted the hunt ability to not detect victims who are crouched and moving slowly. This is actually confusing. The hunt ability to not detect victims who are crouched. So, do they mean they're not going to leave footprints and he's nothing to track? But if he does find a footprint and track you, then he's found you and he's now on your trail and you've got to go, get to a gap or a well or something like that. Or do they mean that if he finds a footprint and then tracks and it says, Johnny's now found your trail, that you can just crouch and turn his ability off instantly, which would make him even beyond useless? I'm afraid it might be the second one, but we'll just have to wait and see tomorrow. They just hate Johnny, I guess. Man, if they were wanting to sell the shirtless Johnny cosmetics, they certainly made sure that that's not going to happen. Because nobody's going to play him after they're done with him. Let's see, slaughterhouse balances. These are some of the big ones, right? The pressure tank's upstairs. Valve handles are not going to be next to pressure tank. All the slaughterhouse doors can now be padlocked, so no more slider door going into the slaughterhouse. Everything's just all red doors that Cook can padlock. Added nuggets to the slaughterhouse building to make that a little bit more harder to traverse. The slaughterhouse building is got like 20 some odd gaps to slide through, plus a well inside the slaughterhouse, plus a well in the outback area. The underground area is probably more. There might even be 30 gaps in that place, dude. Counting the crawl spaces, right? Like it's just nutty. It's nutty, man. Like even two people struggled to box somebody in that place. So adding nuggets is like the least they could do. But you still can box in there. So if the slaughterhouse is fine, they don't need to make changes. But I'm just saying that adding some more nuggets in there is um, probably a good idea, right? And they added more nuggets to the facility building as well. And that's to slow down rush, mostly, right? They're trying to reward stealth here. So these are all good. Like, these are all good changes. Let's see, base sensitivity defaults. We've made minor tweaks to the base control sensitivity. Sure, probably controller based. Prey drive on Cook. Previously, to activate Prey drive, you can just hover the victim. So you just right click hover and then end your ability. So you can just like instantly kick Prey drive in. I didn't know it worked that way. Now you have to actually fully spot the victim, which is how I think it's supposed to work. So I don't think that's tuned. I think this is actually a bug fix labeled, again, weird. I don't know, whatever. Pins and needles, change log. Yeah, it's for Nancy. Security pin tuning. This is for Cook. The Cook's padlocks will no longer transfer security pins to the lock underneath it as well. Apparently that was intended. I thought this was a bug, or maybe it was, and I just labeled it as tuned. Slaughterhouse escape volume, brought the escape volumes. This is a typo. This is a typo. They mean escape boundaries, not volumes. We have brought the escape boundary in toward the cattle guard. There's another typo. That's the metal bars that are electrified on the ground. Toward the cattle guard on slaughterhouse escape gates to limit trolling. When people would sit on the other side of the gate, or the cattle guard, and then they would have the gate open and they would teabag, and then they would try and perma stun family or knock family down on the gate and just sit there. They can still teabag, but they've got to do it in front of the gate and in front of the cattle guard. And if family shows up and they go to the battery or the gen, then they just have to leave, right? Like they can't sit there and troll as much. You're obviously still going to see teabagging, but it will be greatly reduced. So that's a good change. Good enough, it's whatever. A lot of typos in that sentence. Good Lord. Well jump iframes. Previously, victims could be hit multiple times on their way down the well. Now it's going to be limited to only a single hit. Honestly, I think this says tuned, but I think that's a bug fix. I think it was pretty much intended that victims should only take one hit jumping down the well, so I think this is fine. That makes more sense anyway. It's kind of weird that you would hit somebody and they would fall down a well, and then you would continue to stab them as they're falling down the well. That's just goofy. I saw one time a hitchhiker hit someone 3 times, and they hit them and they started to fall and hit them again, and then they were gone just down the well. And then the auto aim led the knife into the ground, and he stabbed the dirt and got a 3rd hit, or maybe not quite the dirt, but he definitely slung that way, right? And it was just goofy, right? So this is a good fix. This is obviously how it's intended to be, so I'm very happy with that. And this lets victims plan their escape routes, because they're going to have more predictability. They're not going to have to guess how many hits family is going to be able to get in, right? And then haptic feedback, that's for controllers. So the haptic feedback reduced it, so it's not so excessive. I wonder what the hell was happening, poor console players. Anyway, and then they've got the little rundown on Nancy and Danny, who are going to be coming in. It's just some lore stuff here. 21, 6'1". Nancy is 5'9". She's a big grandma, for sure. I don't think they show her age. They just say that she's a Sagittarius. Hell yeah. She's been married 3 times and her husbands keep dying, but now she found Cook and Darren Love. So yeah, there you go. That's the patch notes. That's a rundown. Overall, again, it's only actually 150 actual fixes and tunes, but that's amazing. This is a huge patch. Uh, huge, huge, huge patch, and I love it, and I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see you all there tomorrow, later today at this point. So, yeah, see you there.